It is 11 o'clock, and so I'm going to get rolling. I'm so happy that you're here. This is the second webinar so far this year. I plan to do these monthly, and usually they'll be the end of the month unless I have travel or some other conflict and I have to adjust it. So I appreciate you all being here. For those who don't know me, my name is Jacqueline Smith. I lead a team here in Southwest Washington, Portland, Oregon area. Our team is Evergreen Real Estate Partners. And my first year in the business, I sold 52 homes, and I have gone on to grow a team, and we now close hundreds of homes every single year. I've coached hundreds of agents and team owners across the nation. I love what I do. I absolutely love adding value and helping people be more successful in real estate. So, how did we get here? If you weren't on the webinar, the last webinar I hosted, make sure you reach out to me and get the recording. But what we talked about on that webinar is this quote right here that is on my screen right now. I have spent years wondering how it is that results in life, in careers, in business are so unevenly distributed across my peers when we all have the same amount of time, access to education, work in the same economy, and live in the same areas. I have concluded that it comes down to one simple thing. Those who implement models and systems live an extraordinary life, while those who don't live an unpredictable life. So we talked about models, and we specifically talked about how do we build a business in this world of real estate without burning out. Before we jump in, if you would all do me a favor, whoever is here, at some point in this presentation or at the end, take a selfie with the presentation with us in the background and make a post on social media. I would love help getting the word out there for these webinars, because hopefully they are adding value and they will help people have a better 2026 and a better career overall. So we started talking last time about models and systems and what I am coining as the high performance blueprint. We talked about, you have to define the outcome that you're building towards. Your goal may be very different than my goal, right? And once you have a clearly defined outcome that you're working towards, then you can choose proven models that you will implement in your business so that you're building to the right thing, to the right goal, but also so that you're not reinventing the wheel or winging it. This is not a place where you want to wing it. You'll then need to install systems and track, and then obviously remove anything that distracts you from that mission. When I asked the last group to reach out to me after the webinar to tell me what do they need help with most, it was hands down that they understand they need systems and models, but people don't understand even sometimes what that even means. And also, okay, if I agree with you, I know I want to install proven models to build my business. Well, how do I go about doing that? And so what I decided to do, at least for the next several calls, is go through some very important models that every business needs to have in order to be successful. My definition of a business, just so we're all talking about the same thing, is that it has to be predictable and consistent. If it's not predictable and consistent, I would argue that you don't yet have a business. You have some luck that happened. You have something that you can't count on. And just from an investor standpoint, investors don't invest in things that are not predictable and consistent. And so a business has to be those two things in order, in my opinion, to be a viable business. And so with that, what is a model? It's not a model. No, it's not that. A model is a set of repeatable activities that produce predictable results. That's it. That's what a model is. So you might have a model for that you're following for your diet, for how you're staying healthy, for how you're exercising and moving your body. You may have a model that you follow for sleep, for, teaching your kids and raising your kids. We need to have models in our business, and we can reinvent the wheel on our models, but it's better if there's a model already out there for everything. If we take what's already been built and proven, then we spend less time kind of spinning our wheels, going down rabbit trails. And who wants to waste time, right? Time is important. So some of you might have seen this before. It's a little fuzzy. I had a hard time finding a clear picture, but the point of this is that when you move from what we call entrepreneurial style to purposeful style, that is how you break through ceilings of achievement. So what am I talking about? We call this moving from E to P. E is doing what comes naturally. It is your drive that you bring, your enthusiasm, your intuition, your natural behavior, and your spontaneity. That is, most of us come into this business. We're very entrepreneurial. We have all the excitement in the world. We have our natural behavior, what we do kind of without thinking about it. And we have a lot of drive, right? Hopefully. When we move into what is called a purposeful style, we begin to do what comes unnaturally. We install focus, strategic options, models, systems, and accountability. This is where you want to live in real estate. You can build your business to a certain point, staying in the entrepreneurial style, but it probably won't be consistent. It probably won't be predictable. And it eventually will stunt your growth. It will cap your growth, and it will lead into some chaos in your life. So today we're going to talk about the most important model, and that's the lead gen model, right? And I want you to think about something, because I go to a lot of conferences. I've been to several events so far this year, and what I've noticed is there's a lot of strategies out there. Right? You could go on one of these webinars every single day and hear a million strategies, and they could often even contradict each other. We might have someone that is killing it at social media, right? Generating business referrals. And unless there's a pattern, right? A pattern that can be repeated, then it's really just an awesome story for that person. But is it something that you can replicate? Is it something you can duplicate? Is it a pattern where we see people doing specific activities? Remember, the definition of a model is doing specific activities that generate a predictable result. So when you're researching strategies, when you're considering strategies, remember that there's strategies and then there's proven models. And what you want to do is make sure you're paying attention and looking for patterns of success versus just an awesome story, and it's not something that you could duplicate with confidence. Okay? So this is what I promised everyone I would share, our exact lead generation model. And here she is in all her glory. This is simply our Evergreen Real Estate Partners. It's our lead generation model. I'm today going to focus on the left-hand side of this, what we call pie, because I made a promise. I promised I'd show you our model, and I made a promise that we would talk about how to generate consistent business without buying leads, without spending money. So the right-hand side of this pie costs money. It's internet leads, it's marketing your listings in such a way that you're generating additional leads from those, and then a bunch of other strategies, which could include social media. It could include hiring someone to help you generate leads. So for the purpose of today, we are focusing on the left-hand side of the pie. And when you do this correctly, you should easily be generating 1 to 2 deals per month at minimum. Now, once you're at 1 to 2 deals per month at minimum, you can certainly scale what you're doing and do more of it. But at some point, you are going to be capped on your time, and you'll either have to add some leverage to your business. That might look like an assistant, it might look like a buyer's agent, or it might look like spending some money on some additional lead sources. I don't recommend doing that until you're hitting the 1 to 2 deals per month consistently, so that you have some funds to reinvest back into the business. I have not seen people be successful right out of the gate. You might be in a different financial situation and applying a financial investment before you've established a foundation for your business. I've not seen that be successful. I've seen that lead to a lot of wasted money. Okay. So let's keep going. Let's jump into this. So in order to be successful in real estate, we have to have willingness. And what I mean by that is you have to be willing to learn. No matter what lead generation model you are following, you have to be willing to learn, you have to be willing to practice skills and do activities, and you have to be accountable. It may not even be accountable to someone else, but you have to be accountable to yourself, accountable to your results. Okay, so those 4 things are knowledge, skills, activity, and accountability. And that's what we're going to focus on for today. And we'll go through these. And then if you have questions, I love hearing from you. So please reach out to me. You should all have my contact information if you are here, and I'll share it at the end. I absolutely love when you send me emails, texts, social media messages. That is really why I do this, because I love connecting with all of you and helping you with your business. Okay, so let's go into knowledge first. Mastery requires self-study, instruction, and collaboration. I met with an agent yesterday. She's moving from another area. She told me that she was on a team in another area for a while, that she made calls and did open houses, and she got no business from it. And when I asked her a few more questions, I realized that she was missing instruction and collaboration, and probably a little self-study. There is no one that is going to kill it if they just do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again poorly. So what we need is we need feedback, we need to self-study, we need instruction from others, and collaboration. And so that is the basis of knowledge. The other thing we need, we like to call it filling your 4 pockets. So if you've got 2 pockets in the front, 2 pockets in the back, we've got to have them full of a few things to help us always be knowledgeable and be able to add value to people that we're communicating with. The first one is you have to know the inventory. If you're in real estate and you are not pulling up the listings that are coming on the market every single day, you are missing the mark. This is your job. Your job is to know the market better than the consumers. And if you're not doing that, I know so many consumers that are doing that. They're looking on Zillow and Redfin every single day. They love looking at real estate. We've got to love it more, right? And so you should always have what I call 10 properties that you should be able to talk to someone about in different price points, in different neighborhoods, something that maybe caught your eye, that might fit with something that people are looking for, or just grab their attention. 100 previews. This is what our agents do in their first 30 days on our team. And then we recommend continuing previews, maybe not at that level or cadence, but continuing to preview properties throughout your career. All of the top agents preview properties regularly. So knowing the inventory, always having 10 properties that are in your back pocket that you can pull out at an open house, that you can talk to on the phone, or when someone is at a party and they ask you about real estate, having inventory in your pocket to talk about. The second thing is financing and rates. Now, you do not have to be a lender. You don't have to know lending the same way a mortgage loan officer does, but you have to have a basic knowledge of financing, and you should know where rates are sitting. I just had someone ask me yesterday, where are rates? Aren't they at 5%? I said, no, they're not, but let me tell you how I can get you a 5% rate, right? So you should always know where the rates are at, what financing programs are available to help people get rate buy downs, things like that. So have a lender that you talk to on a weekly basis at very minimum. We have a lender that comes into our team meeting every single Monday morning to give our agents an update on rates, on financing programs, kind of what they're seeing in the market. Are loan applications up? Are they down? Which can speak to the strength of the market. So always have at least a basic knowledge of financing and rates. And then the third is closing, construction, taxes, investing. Again, you don't have to be a CPA, you don't have to be a real estate investor, but you should know what's out there for new construction. What is closing in your area? What are the taxes, right? And then how would I go about investing, and what are some things that I would consider if I wanted to invest in real estate? I was at a conference just this past week, and someone said something that really stuck with me, that the last decade was really about, people, we would wait for people to be ready to buy or sell a house, and then we would tell them all the reasons why we would be the best person for the job, right? We were problem solvers. He said in the next decade, we need to be problem seekers. And what he meant by that is, instead of being the realtor that waits for someone to be ready and then tell them all the reasons why you're the best person for the job, the real estate agent of the future is going to be creating opportunities for people, helping people save money on their taxes by investing in real estate, creating urgency, talking to people about how they can make their move, and helping them decide to make a move, as opposed to being the one they call once they've already decided. So instead of just being a problem solver, we've got to become problem seekers and be a part of helping them come up with a solution. And then number 4 is just having scripts for all of these things. You can tell that I talk about real estate all the time, right? If you ask me a question, I can rattle off any number of scripts. It's just because I live this. I look at properties still to this day. It's one of the first things I do is pull up properties that came on market. I look at the new listings. I look at listings that have come back on market, and I look at listings that had a price reduction that day. And if you do this every single day, you're going to notice that there's not always that many. There's certain days of the week where obviously there's a lot more new listings, for example, on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday than on a Monday, right? So you'll start to see the cadence of when price reductions are being done, and you'll just be a more informed real estate professional. So then we have skills. We have the knowledge, and then we have skills, right? Nobody mastered any skill except through intensive, persistent, and intelligent practice. So that story I shared with you earlier about the agent that wasn't getting anywhere, she was practicing, she was making a lot of calls and doing open houses, but she wasn't doing what I would call intelligent practice, where she's getting feedback. So a couple of things I always recommend is make sure that you are recording yourself, whether it's your presentations, your open house scripts, your call scripts. Record yourself and listen to it. You'd be surprised how much you would learn just by doing that. And again, remember that self-study that we need to bring into everything that we do, because a lot of us, we are going to suck at this at the start. I was bad at my scripts when I started. The only reason I am where I am today is not because I've done it 10,000 times, it's because I've done it 10,000 times with feedback and with self-study. That is intelligent and intensive, persistent practice. So one of the ways that we do this is we practice. We have what we call power up meetings. So every morning we have our power ups, and that is just you can do this. I told you this was our model, right? So I'm going to tell you how you can do this on your own if you're not part of Place, if you're not part of our Evergreen team. So powering up is really just getting yourself into the right mindset so that you can win the day. So if you are not on a team or part of a brokerage that has a power up, then what you need to do is you need to find those things. I mean, podcasts, right? Audiobooks, YouTube, find some people that you look up to that uplift you, that give you good energy, that will power you up for the day. The next thing you need to do is you need to role play. If you don't have a role play partner, you can ask a friend. I mean, they're great for role play partners because they're, the closest thing to a consumer. If you're partnering with another real estate agent, I mean, they almost know too much sometimes, right? Like we know the lingo, we know how it's supposed to sound, but consumers don't. So role play with a friend. Role play with ChatGPT. I got my pilot's license last year and I had to do an oral interview, and I role played with ChatGPT my questions before my exam. So you can absolutely role play with ChatGPT. You can have a prompt saved in there that tells that you want to act, that you want it to act as a real estate coach, and you want to practice your tonality, your rate of speech, your persuasion and leadership and posture during the conversation, and your closing techniques. You can ask it to give you feedback on any of those things. And then real play. Real play is where you're actually doing these calls, doing the open houses, like you're out there talking to people in real life, because that is different, right, than a simulated situation. And you will get amazing feedback from real play. Okay, so this is how you develop your skills. Skills are what to say, how to say it, when to say it. These are your buyer and seller presentations. If you don't have a buyer and seller presentation, you need to get one, and then you need to memorize it and know it like the back of your hand. You should be practicing your buyer and seller presentations every single week. So if you do not have a listing appointment, in 1 week, you are practicing that presentation. If you don't have a buyer consultation, you're practicing it. So you are delivering that presentation at least once a week. When I was a new agent, building up, selling 52 homes, I was going on a lot of appointments. I was going on almost an appointment every single day. I was getting better faster than anyone that I started with. We started out of the gate the same, but I was just getting the reps in so quickly. I met with buyers and sellers almost every single day. If I didn't have an appointment, I was practicing, or I was driving to a for sale by owner and creating an appointment. So make sure you're practicing your presentations. Lead generation, your scripts. You might say, well, I don't really like scripts. Scripts are just conversations that are proven that will take your conversation to an intended destination. And the reason you don't like scripts is you haven't practiced them, you haven't internalized them, because I say scripts every single day and people love what I say. They're like, that was so good, let me write that down. It's because I've said it a million times, right? And so if you don't like scripts, it's simply because who likes anything that they suck at? No one, right? So if you haven't got the reps in, of course it's awkward. Of course you sound robotic. Of course you sound salesy, right? But as you practice them, you're going to get better and better. And once you have them memorized and internalized, absolutely you can customize them and make them your own. You need to have scripts for Sphere, for open houses, and for prospecting. You need to have appointment setting and closing scripts. This morning, we had on our company call 7 closing techniques. If you send me an email, I'm happy to share those with you. We will We have them all written out. We practice them regularly. You've got to get comfortable with asking for business, because if you don't, this lead generation model is not going to get you the results that you want. Part of this model is using scripts to close for the appointment and for the agreement, whether it's with a buyer or seller agreement. Okay. Okay. Activity. I think this is the one that you're all here for. But these other elements of the lead generation model are so important. So I appreciate you sticking with me. But the activity is where everything is created, right? So all growth depends upon activity. There's absolutely no development physically or intellectually without effort, and effort means work. So when I say work and effort, I don't mean thinking about work, talking about work, posting about work, stressing out about work. That is not work. Work is having real estate related conversations. Whether you're doing this as a result of a social media post that led to a conversation, whether you're doing it as a result of an open house, someone came into your open house, now you're having a conversation, whether you're doing it because you knocked on their door or because you called them. It doesn't matter the mechanism. The work in real estate is conversation. Everything rises and falls on the number of real estate conversations that you are having every day and every week. So the lead generation model for activity that we're going to talk about today is sphere, open houses, and prospecting. The fourth most important element you see here is Brivity lead follow-up. Brivity is just our CRM, so insert whatever CRM you're using, and it's just your lead follow-up, but you have to have a cadence for it, which we'll get into. Okay, so what are the sphere activities? A lot of people tell me, Jacqueline, I totally work my sphere. I get great business from my sphere. I have to have a drink. But here's what I'll say. You might be working your sphere. You might be getting business from your sphere. But how much business are you leaving on the table? Think about that. So, sphere. You need to have a minimum of 200 people in your database. There's been studies that show that an average real estate agent, that has 200 sphere, makes at least 75,000 net compared to someone with less than that. So there's direct correlation between the number of people in your database and how much money you're going to make. So you want to start with a minimum of 200 sphere. If you're like, Jacqueline, that's insane to me. I don't even know 200 people. I promise you, you do. I had moved from Canada and hadn't grown up here, and I had 200 sphere. Go through your phone, go through the businesses that you frequent, your dentist, your doctor, right, where you shop, all of that, your social media. You have 200 people. You just have to take the time to sit down and write them out. There's all sorts of like memory joggers you can Google and get ChatGPT to help you. But you've got to get your list of 200 and get them into your database. Your database, if you don't have one, can realistically be a spreadsheet. I know a top producer when I very first started that had her database was an Excel spreadsheet. So you do not have to have an expensive CRM. There's a lot of benefits that come with CRMs these days, especially if they're integrating AI and all of that. So I don't recommend it being an Excel spreadsheet, but if that's all you got, that's all you got. One call per quarter needs to be going out to your sphere. Not once when you first start, not once per year, not once when you decide that you're desperate for business and you're going to do what you heard Jacqueline say to do on the webinar 3 months ago. No, this is a quarterly scheduled call that you have in your CRM tasked, or in your spreadsheet, a task, in your calendar, a task, so that you make sure everyone gets a call every single quarter. A plus means those people have sent you business. They are like what I would call your ambassadors. They are people that you have a deeper relationship with, not just a deeper relationship with, though, they also know how to refer you and they have referred you business, or you're really working to get that from them and they've told you that they would refer you business. That is what I would call an A plus, and those people should actually get called once per month. From there, they need to be getting 2 market report emails per month. So we have the ability to send out a neighborhood report for everyone that we have an address for. If you, most CRMs do this nowadays, but if not, then you're going to have to create a report and send them a neighborhood report twice a month. Quarterly piece of mail. We like to do home anniversary if they've bought with us, birthday, and then 2, like I love just because, right? So a simple way to do that is if you talk to someone, or even if you didn't talk to them, you called them, they didn't answer, you left them a voicemail, follow up with a note card. Just have a stack of them on your desk and send a note card. You have a great conversation with someone, have a note card. I really appreciated our conversation today. Thank you so much for supporting my business. Pop your business card in there and send it out. Those mean so much to people. Of course, you can do the holidays if you do like Christmas and whatnot, but people are getting a lot of cards. I love, if you want to know one of my love languages, I love getting a note card, a gratitude note card, just because those mean so much to me. So I would imagine that they mean a lot to our clients, right? Certainly if you get a referral, or anything like that, if they shout you out on, some of those Facebook groups, like I love sending note cards for those, as well. So a quarterly piece of mail, it can be whatever you want. 3 times per year, you want to get face to face with clients. So we do 2 large, client events every year. We do a huge block party and we do a Christmas tree event. So you need one more time per year, right? Maybe it's a pop by. Maybe it's I was just in the neighborhood and wanted to stop by. Maybe it's you actually go ahead and schedule a coffee or schedule a time to come by and give them a home value update, even if they don't have any plans of selling. Think of it this way. If you invest in stocks, like you still keep an eye on how much the stock values are, even if you don't have an intention of selling them. I like to know how much my home is worth. And so that would be a great third, right? A third face-to-face touch. And then 1 interaction, and I would say absolute minimum on social media. I love using social media to do what I call data mining. That is where I have custom audiences set up and I can see groups of my clients and my sphere, and I can quickly just go through my timeline for that group and see like what's going on with people. If they're having a baby, if they're having a baby, we have these really cute baby boxes that we send out to people that are having a baby. It's a cute little onesie with a little bib and a little keychain thing, ode to the realtor with the keys. So we do that, but before that, like I would just send them a quick text or send them a note card, congratulations, or if you see that they're having a job interview, I would definitely reach out and say, hey, I'm sending you good vibes for your job interview next week, and then set a task for myself to see, how did it go? Those things mean so much to people, more than like a like or a heart on a post, right? Take it a step further and interact with them privately, or more than just a comment on a post. Okay, so sphere. Let's go through open house activities. Open houses. So I recommend hosting a minimum of 2 open houses per week. Of course, the weekends are always getting more traffic. You can do like a happy hour open house time, though. A 4 to 6 works great. But I love the weekend. In fact, we did a study where we put all of our data from all of our open houses into ChatGPT and asked it to analyze all of it. It was when the open houses were held, how many people came in, how many signed in, and we saw, without a doubt, Saturday 11 to 3. There you go. That's your primo spot to host an open house. But Sundays are great, Fridays, Thursday evenings are great. And I always say, even if it's not the best time, anything's better than nothing. So if you can only do an open house on a Tuesday, do an open house on a Tuesday. But if you really want to knock it out of the park, weekends are gold. Knock and circle prospect around every open house. So what do I mean by that? Door knocking around the open house, inviting people to come to your open house. We do a minimum of 50 doors around every open house, unless it's like a rural area where things are really spread out. Circle prospecting, if you don't have a way to dial, that's okay. That's why you have the door knocking, right? Because this is without buying leads. If you have a dialer, you can do circle prospecting where you put the address in and you can call and invite people around that address to attend your open house. Posting it on social media. And I don't mean with your cheesy open house graphic that you made in Canva. Please don't do that. You want to do a selfie, face talking video, inviting people to come to your open house. You want to call people, invite them to your open house. But on social media, I mean, showing your face, people hearing your voice, that's how you build trust. And you want to post these because you never know. I always share this story. I had an open house at a listing that I had. It had been on the market for 6 months through spring and summer with another agent. I got the listing as an expired listing and I was hosting an open house. I had back in that day, we didn't really do video on social media. I had created a social media event. And I would call them open house socials. And I did it for all of my open houses. And I invited all of my friends to come. I had a girlfriend and her friends come by. And back then I was working all the time. And so it was kind of like, come see me, because I didn't really have time to hang out with all my friends back then. I was working a lot. So she came by to see me and her girls were kind of running around the house, like picking out their room, and I had a buyer in there and, it was funny. One of the girls was like, Mommy, who decides who gets to buy this house? And she said, well, it's whoever puts in the best offer. Meanwhile, this buyer's wandering around, right? And she ended up putting an offer in on the house. So sometimes that can create urgency to have other people in the house. So don't be afraid to invite people that aren't on the market, in the market. I've actually even had neighbors and friends that weren't in the market that I invited, and then lo and behold, they either knew someone who was, or they decided, you know what, I kind of want to move. So invite all your social media friends. Invite circle prospect matches. So our CRM, we have the ability to look up and see who has been searching for a similar home in a similar area, in a similar price point. I know some CRMs do this. So if you have that ability, then invite those people as well. Use an open house app or some sort of technology. So we use an app where people sign in digitally, and then that lead goes right into our agent's CRM, and then follow-up begins immediately and is done for them. So if you don't have that, you have to simulate that. So if you are just using a paper sign-in, that's okay, but immediately following that open house, you need to get those people entered into your CRM. They need to get follow-up texts, follow-up emails. I friend them on social media and make sure that you are setting a next step if you didn't set an appointment with them at the open house. Use scripts and ask for listings. Open houses are not just for buyers. 67% of buyers are actually homeowners as well. 60% of people are homeowners. So if you have a pool of buyers, 67% of them are effectively also homeowners. They may have just appeared as a buyer, but they also have a home to sell. If you don't ask people for listings, if you don't ask people if they have a property to sell, you're not going to generate listings. You're going to generate more buyers simply because you're not looking for listings. And then schedule time for follow-up. Immediately after, the biggest mistake I see people make is they spend all this time prepping for the open house, door knocking, social media, put out the signs. They're all there. They've got their cookies and their cupcakes. They have a great open house. And then what do? They wait until Monday to follow up. What are people doing on Monday? They're at work. They're taking the kids to school. They're not thinking about real estate on Monday morning like you do. It's your job to think about real estate on Monday morning. They're thinking about it when they're thinking about it on the weekends, when they came to your open house, when they're out driving around looking at properties for fun, right? So follow up immediately after the open house. I recommend scheduling at least 30 minutes. It can be done in your car. Get in the car, call through your list, send them a follow-up text, let them know you want to be their agent, you want to be their resource. Do not wait until Monday to follow up, okay? You're killing your conversion by doing that. Okay, prospecting. Prospecting is probably what I see people most afraid of, right? And so I hope I can change your mindset today about prospecting. What is prospecting? Prospecting is calling around neighborhoods. If you have a dialer and you can call, circle prospect around neighborhoods, prospecting is actually door knocking. Prospecting is also calling for sale by owners and canceled expireds. For sale by owners are not, and cancel expired, they're not big scary monsters. Okay. They are people who the for sale by owner wants to sell. They just don't want to pay a listing commission. A cancel expired is someone that they want to sell. They also were willing to pay someone a commission. They were on the market with a listing agent, but something happened. They didn't sell for whatever reason, right? And they might feel discouraged. They might tell you that they're not doing it anymore because they couldn't find the house that they wanted, or they couldn't make the numbers work, or the agent told them that the market wasn't a good time, because I've heard a lot of people say that lately, and that is so sad. Agents, stop telling people that it's not a good time to sell because you can't get the job done. So cancel expired, for sale by owners, circle prospecting, door knocking. Prospecting is essentially calling people and getting people into your database that you don't know. You want to focus on a minimum of 10 to 20 conversations a day. Most people I talk to that don't have enough business are not even doing 5 conversations per week. They're not even hitting 10 conversations per week. You should be doing that every single day. The less business you have, the more time you have to prospect. Not to doom scroll, not to complain about how hard it is, but to actually do the work, which is having real estate conversations every single day. When I was a new agent, my goal was to talk to 20 people every single day, Monday through Friday, and set an appointment every single day, because some of them cancel, some of them postpone, and I knew I needed to go on at least 2 listing appointments per week to hit my goal of 48 houses. So 20 conversations a day keeps the being broke away. Okay. 1 monthly call night. What is a call night? A call night is where you call in the later part of the day. I recommend every single morning, 9 till noon is reserved only for your prospecting lead generation. Why? Because that is when our willpower is at its highest. And especially as you generate business, you're going to get busier during the day. More things can come up. I don't know about you, but if I don't get my workout done in the morning, it ain't happening. If I don't get my lead generation done in the morning, it ain't happening. So I'm sure most of you are similar. Some of you, maybe you got some willpower that happens later on. Not me. So 1 time per month, I want to do a call night. Why do I do this? Because sometimes people don't answer in the mornings and I want to try and get a hold of them at a different time. 4 to 6, 3 to 5, those are great times to call. Inventory creation day. What is that? Inventory creation day is 1 day set aside per month where you focus specifically on seller prospecting, on seller lead conversion. This is your day that you generate listing opportunities for yourself. I like to do this, and our company does this on the 1st of every month or the first business day of every month. Why? Because that is the day that most of the expireds are showing up on the reports, because a lot of realtors happen to put the end of the month for their listing expiration date. So inventory creation day is just one day per month that you dedicate to focusing on sellers. If you don't look for something, it's hard to find it. So though we obviously want to look for listings every single day, if you schedule an inventory creation day for yourself, it's one day that you are super tuned in to finding seller listings. A prospecting day every other month. Well, Jacqueline, is an everyday prospecting day? Absolutely it is. And I know that some days we get sick, our kids get sick, we don't feel it, we skip it. And so if you schedule a prospecting day every other month where you don't schedule any appointments for that entire day, you wear your comfy joggers and you put some good like workout music on, and maybe have a couple energy drinks throughout the day, and you just focus on hammering out calls. You could follow up with old leads, you can prospect, but whatever you do, just increase the amount of activities that you do, and you'll bridge any gaps or get ahead and fill your calendar with appointments for the month. And then of course, using scripts and create nurtures. We want to use scripts, and then we want to create nurtures that we can follow up with. A nurture is just someone that is not ready right now, but they might have an opportunity for you to work with them in the future. Okay. So, and then we have follow-up activities. We want to make sure we know that the fortune is in the follow-up, right? So when you're following up, we've got to follow a contact cadence. The biggest mistake people make with follow-up is they are so afraid of bugging people or being salesy that they try to time the person's sales activity. So if someone says, "Oh, Jacqueline, we're just not ready yet. We're going to wait until spring." And then I try to call them in the spring. To me, that is the definition of salesy. If someone says that to me in the fall, I'm going to say, "That's so awesome, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for letting me know you're going to wait till spring." And obviously, I'm going to talk to them about why they might be waiting until spring, and maybe there's a reason they might want to do it sooner. But let's just say for this example, they're not. Well, I'm going to call them every single month, and I'm going to give them an update on what the market is doing, where rates are at, what we're seeing for showing activity, and just see if they have any questions that have come up since the last time we talked. If they don't answer, no sweat. They don't have to call me back, but I just want them to know they're going to hear from me every single month. And I really want to take this time to show them my value, establish my leadership with them, and show them that I'm trustworthy, that I'm consistent, that I'm reliable, and I'm going to win that business. I've had countless examples where I was following up with a for sale by owner or a cancel expired specifically because a lot of agents prospect those when they first show up as such. But I was always the last man standing because I'm going to follow up until you've heard buy or die. I hate that, but it's true, right? So don't get in your head about it. Don't think that they don't like you if they're not responding to you. You be consistent no matter what they do. Make sure that if you have a CRM where you are keeping track of their status, right, and creating tasks so that you have a systematic way to not have anyone slip through the cracks. You want to make sure that all of your leads are on listing alerts and market reports so that they're seeing your face, they're seeing your name, they're getting something from you. I promise you, if they're in your database, they're in someone else's database. They're getting stuff from Zillow. They're getting stuff from Susie down the street. You have to have them set up on some regular alerts. And then in addition to that, sending them specific properties. Remember, we talked about looking every single morning at the listings coming on the market. Always have your buyers' needs in mind for that. Leads that you've talked to, people you met in an open house, you kind of have an idea what they're looking at. Maybe they haven't signed with you yet. You're trying to get them to an appointment. Send them specific properties. I saw this property. I thought of you. I know it's not exactly what you said you were looking for, but I really thought that this checked a lot of the boxes. Let's get out maybe and have a look at it. It might surprise you. It might work for you, right? Reverse prospecting daily, that obviously is available with certain CRMs. Like I said, if you have the ability to see what people are looking at, then you can see if there's any matches for them. And then using AI lead nurture. Now, most CRMs should have this, right? I would really hope so. Ours does, but if you're using something other than Brivity, check to see, is there an AI lead nurture, and use that. Ours acts as an assistant to the agent, and it has text conversations. It can see what it's looking at, what the lead's looking at, what kind of properties. It can see the entire history in a second. And not only does it follow up with leads, it actually gives agents a summary and next step and scripts that will be more apt to win with that particular lead based on their language patterns and everything else. So AI lead nurture, it's changing the game for a lot of agents, and it's here to stay, and it's getting better and better. So get on the AI train, or you're going to be left behind. So quite realistically, there was a lot of AI at the conference I was just at, talk about AI. It's here to stay. It's not replacing us. It's making us so much better. It's making us unstoppable, right? And so don't be afraid of it. You've got to jump in and learn it. Lucky is where skill meets persistence. So make sure that, like I said, you're not just following up once or twice. Statistically, it's between the 6th and the 12th follow-up that you're going to see conversion happen most often. And then lastly, accountability. Accountability breeds responsibility. So what do I mean by that? If you don't have accountability, if you don't have feedback, how you can't respond, right? You can't respond in a different way. So you've got to have accountability so that you can respond appropriately and shift and get better. Accountability is simply the willingness to own the result without explaining it away. Right? Did you do what you said you were going to do? I love accountability. I know some people have like a really negative connotation with the word. I personally don't think that it's a negative thing. I have appreciated accountability so much in my life, and I've sought it out, because left to my own devices, I am not great. Okay, so I need accountability for my health, for my exercise, for my diet. I need it in my business. I'm accountability partners with someone I've never even met in person that I found on a Facebook group, and we just message each other every day, certain things that we're tracking for ourselves. So install accountability. Accountability is not weakness. The most successful athletes and entrepreneurs install accountability in their life. So I think a lot of people think that I should be able to do this myself, and if I want it bad enough. That is not true. We are human. I don't know about you, but like our attention spans are like this big. You need accountability, or you're probably not going to perform at the level that you could. Okay? And accountability doesn't have to be bad. It's actually a very positive thing. It's not only what we do, but also what we do not do for which we are accountable. Accountability will help you have better results, because it's going to push you to do things that you wouldn't necessarily do on your own. When my accountability partner sends me his numbers and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I haven't done mine yet, some days the only reason I do it is because of him, and it's the same back. So find an accountability partner. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be simply texting each other how many conversations you had that day and how many appointments did you set, right? If you want to contact me, you can find I have a real estate video blog site, JacquelineSmithLeadership.com. It is a bunch of videos that I have recorded over the years on different things like calling cancel expireds, open house, our client events. That there's a ton of value there. You can log on there. You can always find me on Facebook, Instagram. My email's up here, which you should all have if you got the invite to this. And my cell phone, that is my cell phone. So you can text me, call me, email me. But I really do love hearing from y'all. And so I hope that today was valuable for you. I hope this gave you a good overview of what a successful lead generation model looks like, the free side of it. And remember, if you do all of these things, there's no way you will not close 1 to 2 deals every single month. Every single month. So I hope this was great. I hope you learned something. But more importantly than I hope you learned something, I hope you do something with it. Reach out to me, keep me in the loop, and watch out for the next webinar invite. I will be diving deeper into more models that every business needs. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Bye, everyone.